I mean, I didn't expect to be here. It's a dream come true. I mean, if I even had the dream. So, yeah, it's one of a kind experience.
I mean, when you did move out of Chicago, was this even remotely a path you thought would be followed?
I think part of me hoped, and I'd gotten word from a lot of people who came, and they were rooting for me in that way, and so I was just there to experience it. I wasn't. I always tell myself, I'm like, it's not. The goal isn't to be Tony nominated or this or that. The goal is to just get to do it in the first place, and so it was in the back of my head, and I hoped. But going into this season and seeing who was here. All the women that are here representing the season, I was just like, oh, I'm just like the new little newcomer, so yeah.
Congratulations on the voice you developed
Thank
for the
you.
character.
Thank
because
you.
I thought it occurred to me that it could have been incredibly annoying,
Right.
to do that for a whole
Correct.
show, but you just make it adorable rather than annoying, and it's just a very fine line.
It
there,
is sometimes, and I think about that sometimes. I'm like, oh my gosh, there are some days where it sits in a different part of my voice, and I'm like, okay, careful, because that could just easily be grating for 2.5 hours or however long it is. Yeah.
Are you familiar with do you know who Meg Questel is?
Of course I do.
Yeah.
Of course I do.
Yeah. And,
yes.
when did you become aware of that?
I've known who she was for a little bit. I knew she was Betty Boop. I know she was Olive Oil. And when I was joining the piece and auditioning for the piece, I looked back at a lot of her work because I was worried that I would have to do an exact replica. But it didn't call for that. We were bringing Betty Boop to life in a different way. So there's obviously so much homage to that original source material always, and to May. But I got to bring a little bit of Jasmine to it as well, and I think that's what helps bring it to life in the 3D sense. Yeah.
I'm Annie with the Nominee.
Hi, Annie.
You look absolutely stunning.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So in the show, you're kind of teetering between like this cartoon world, also the real world.
Yes.
How have you kind of wrestled with finding that balance?
It is tough. Honestly, I would say the cartoon aspect came easy.
Yeah.
It was bringing her to life and making her a real girl. That was the hard part. I've always kind of been a cartoon character throughout my whole life. I've always been told, like, oh my gosh, you're doing too much, or this or that. And, for a while that was disheartening, but, I don't care. Thankfully, it's paid off in a really beautiful way. But what I found the best thing to do to try to bring that reality was to just merge myself with Betty as much as I could. And I think every character fully comes to life in every sense of the way when you bring yourself. You are the vessel, you are the final piece, and those moments, I got to carry what it might feel like to go through those things as Jasmine, because I've always been so over the top and so much that it didn't feel like a stretch to kind of to meld those worlds, because I've lived that way my whole life. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
David Buchanan with Bill Derby. So
Hi,
nice to
David.
meet
You as well.
The show is so joyous. I mean, you just walk in and you walk out so light and happy. What is your favorite scene to do every show? What do you look forward to because it brings you personal? I know the show is hard for you. I mean, it's so much. Every minute is difficult. But is there a moment that you really get to enjoy just the joy of the show itself and the joy you're bringing to the audience?
Well, there are a lot of moments like that, but I'm going to highlight one moment. It's at the very end during our finale, and the song starts, and I'm surrounded by the ensemble boys, or men, in our ensemble, and they're just kind of like dancing and grooving, and they all kind of do their own thing. They're allowed to, absolutely. And like my friend Dan does something crazy and different every night, and it is one of my favorite things I've ever seen ever. But I love that moment because I do a little spin around and I get to look at all of them, and they're all wearing their tuxedos, their colorful tuxedos that Greg Barnes has designed. And I love that moment because it's also like a celebration that we made it through. We made it. We're having a joyous celebration, and I get to look at all of them, and I truly, truly love every single person in that cast. So that's one of my favorite moments.
Beautiful. Congratulations again.
Thank you. Thank you so much.